Hi friends, happy Story Kit Crush Friday. This is my first layout, crushing the Change Story Kit. And like I said previously, Krystal's been holding down Story Kit Crush all by herself, which she's amazing. First of all, if you guys aren't following Krystal by now, what are you doing? Go follow Krystal immediately. But Krystal's been holding down Story Kit Crush for the both of us while I was taking my breather that I desperately needed. And so when she told me that she wanted to crush the Change Story Kit next, I was just all about it because there's so many stories to tell about things changing right now. Like, I feel like life is changing. Normally life is changing every day, but right now it seems like it's happening at like a rapid rate. Like, things are changing by the minute. So I was all about crushing the Change Story Kit. And then I went digging in my stash and I realized I had the entire Change Story Kit. Like, I used like maybe 2 things from this kit when I got it. So it's even better that we're crushing this kit. So I'm so excited for this. So here's the story that I'm telling. I kind of had things on my desk, but I'm just doing some quick things while I talk to you. So I'm telling the story of finally being finished with nursing school. I'm not sure how many of you know this, but my NCLEX was delayed multiple times with COVID and everything else because they didn't know, what the social distancing protocols were going to be, if they could even give the test. And my particular exam was canceled 3 times, which is, first of all, studying for these boards are nerve-wracking enough, and then having a date for your boards and then having it be canceled 3 times just makes it an experience. So I finally got to take my boards in April. And funny story about taking my boards, I had hunted for an exam date like literally every day for weeks because my exam kept getting canceled. And so I was hunting for an exam date literally every day. And then I remember it was like a Tuesday. I was checking for dates and they had a date for that Friday. And I was just like, am I ready to take my boards? Like, every time I scheduled it, I tried to schedule it at least like a week or so out just to give me like the peace of mind of making sure that I was really ready for this test. And then all of a sudden I was scheduling it for 2 days out. And so I remember going to my husband and going, do you think I'm ready to take my boards in 2 days? Mind you, I kind of just scheduled it to schedule it because my test had gotten canceled so many times. I didn't think I was ever taking it. So I kind of scheduled it just to schedule it, and it didn't get canceled. And so I woke up that Friday morning and I was like, okay, this is happening. Like, I'm actually taking my exam today. And I remember the entire train ride, I just kept checking my email because I was just like, are they going to cancel this while I'm on my way there? Because that's just the luck I felt like I was having. Like, they would cancel it while I was on my way there. And I got there and I checked in. And then they sat me at the computer. And it wasn't until they sat me at the computer that I was like, okay, like, this is happening. I am taking my nursing test today. And that's when it got like serious for me. Like, it didn't get serious until, I had signed in and question number 1 pulled up. And we're just going to chit chat while I work on this. I'll tell you what I'm doing, but we'll chit chat. So the way the nursing exam is designed is you have to do a certain number of questions. And there's a 265 total questions, and you have to do a certain number of questions over like the minimum threshold to pass, and the minimum you have to do is 75. And I remember taking my test and going through it and watching the numbers get higher and higher and higher until I had reached what I was hoping was my last question. And the entire time we were in nursing school, like, all my friends and I would joke that if we had to do one question over the minimum, we would just like lose our mind, because it just proves that you haven't shown like minimal competency by the time you got there, which is a stupid stance to take, because even if you have to do like 20 questions over the minimum threshold, you're passing. Like, who cares? But anyways, I remember getting to the very last question, and then it shut down on me. And I had like there was just such a relief that it was over that I started crying. Like, I quickly collected myself, but I definitely started crying because it was over now. Like, that was it. Like, there was nothing I could have done. The test is out of my hands, right? You just kind of turn it in. And I waited you have to wait 48 hours for your response. And I took my test on a Friday. And I remember waking up that Sunday thinking, I'm not going to get my results because it's a business day. And it wasn't a business day. And then I got an email that I'd passed. So that's my NCLEX story. I passed my boards. My mom surprised me with this super nice frame. Like, I had sent her a picture of my license when it came, and she surprised me with the super nice frame. So that's the story we're telling. It's a picture of me receiving the frame with my license in it that says I am a registered professional nurse in New York. My middle name and everything is on this, so now you guys know my full name. But that's the story we're telling. So what I did here quickly while I was talking to you was I used fossilized amber and peeled paint to color in. I like coloring my wood veneer. I think it helps it pop off the page more. I printed my photo black and white because it was just a grainy cell phone photo. And then I colored my wood veneer because I like the way that looks. I think it helps it pop off the page more. And then for my journaling, I did this in Photoshop. I set up a 4x6 canvas. And then I put one of the chipboard circles, like the digital chipboard circles, so it would be the same size as this. And then I used path tools to insert my text. I'll see if there's a way for me to insert some Photoshop footage of me doing that so you guys can see it, because that's pretty much it to this page. I didn't do anything terribly complex. What I love about telling stories like this is you can do this in 10 minutes. Like, I was literally at my computer for 10 minutes and then I assembled the layout in 20 seconds. I colored a few things in and I stuck in a piece of chipboard. So I will see if I could insert some of the Photoshop footage here just so you can see how to do something like this. It's really, really easy and really simple. All right, friends, so I'm going to quickly show you how I made that card that I left the circle in the middle of so I could put my chipboard and add my journaling. So what I've started with is a 4x6 canvas, and I just took one of the digital chipboard circles and put it right in the middle of my canvas. It doesn't matter which one because they're circles and they're all the same size. So again, when I do things in Photoshop, I'm not promising that they're the easiest way to do them. It's just the way I do them. So if you know an easier way that makes it like more achievable for you, then do what you know. This is what I do, and it's worked out pretty well for me. So again, everything I know is self-taught. So what I do is I always put some guide rules on the edges so I don't go edge to edge with my journaling. And then I put a center line so I can make sure that everything is centered, and I put some guides on the either side of the center line. Now, I made sure these were perfectly measured when I was working on my project, but I'm just giving you an idea of how you set this up. Now, for this, you need the freeform pen tool. Now, I'm working in Creative Cloud. I don't know if it's different in Elements, but with the freeform pen tool, you just right click and you get all the pen options. I like the freeform one because it lets me draw whatever line I want. And with the freeform pen tool, we're going to create text boxes so we can put our journaling in the box. So from here, you're just going to take your freeform pen tool and you're going to use it to create the shape that your text is going to go into. Now, I like to put these lines here because it helps make it easier for me to draw a straight line. I am not very good at this. And again, I'm roughly doing this just so you can kind of see what you would need to do to wrap text around a shape. So there we go. So now we have that. And then we're just going back to following the guides and go as slow as you need to so you don't have to do this more than once, because this is probably the most frustrating part of this entire process. And I've done this a few times where I got all the way to like the end of the line and then I was rushing and then I had like extra like bumps in my line and I had to go through and delete like pen points, and you don't want to have to do that. So if you just go, if you just take your time, go slow, by the time you connect this, you're going to have a text box. And from here, you can either type directly into this box that you've created, or you can copy and paste your journaling, which is what I like to do. I normally type my journaling in Microsoft Word or Notes or anything, and then paste it in, and see, that's what it looks like. So once it's pasted in, you see it wraps the circle, and then all you have to do is do the same thing on the other side. So I like to type, when I'm doing something like this, I type my journaling in like paragraphs, and I make sure that they're the same amount of lines in both paragraphs, and then I bring it over here, copy it, and it's typically pretty easy to space it out. And if it's not, you just fudge with the, the font size to make sure that it fits. So I hope that helps. Hope that taught you how to, wrap text in journaling so you can add some interest to your pages. And I'm going to go back to the video now so you can watch me read my journaling and finish this story up. So I'm going to quickly read my journaling to you because I've gotten in the habit of reading my journaling and then I've forgotten to do it my last few videos. So here's what it says. It says, I've told lots of nursing school stories and lots of pinning stories, but after telling years of transition stories, it feels very good to tell a story about the end of it all. A story about having the end product of years of pain and sacrifice in my hands. Like everything else in 2020, my NCLEX date was scheduled and canceled until the anxiety threatened to spill out of every single pore, until I wondered if this labor would ever be over or if I would be trapped in this transitory state of again and again for the end of time. It felt like my life was a showing of Groundhog Day, and I would do anything to break the cycle. Then April 3rd, 2020 arrived, and there were no cancellations. I waited all night with bated breath for one more disappointing email with a big red klaxon to once again halt my progress. Taking the train to the testing facility, waiting for the other shoe to drop, not believing that this was actually happening. Not believing that the universe was being this kind and that there was an end to this journey on the horizon. I no longer cared which way my exam went, just that I was able to take it and cross the threshold into what came next. Well, what came next was 2 letters to add to my last name and a piece of paper with a stamp of approval and a well done. What came next made every sleepless night worth it, and every missed party sting a little bit less, and every tear cried a source of pride and not contempt. Sometimes changes sneak up on you in the night, whispering their arrival, and sometimes they show up with a bang and demand to be acknowledged. And then there are changes like this one, changes I have waited my whole life for. So again, a little story about finally crossing the threshold and being done. And I love how this came out. The color palette in the changes kit is really interesting. Here's what the chipboard looked like. So it's like a bit of a rainbow kit, so you can go any way with your color scheme. And I'm really excited to kind of play with this and see what layouts I can make and what stories I can tell. So that's all I have for you today, guys. This is the first layout in Story Kit Crush Change Edition. Don't forget to head on over to Krystal's video to see what she's making, and I will see you next week for another story. So till next time, keep it crafty and have the best day, and I will see you around. Bye!